I call this meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Northfield Public School Board. Today is Monday, July 13th, and the time is 6 p.m. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded. The recording of this meeting will be posted on the district website as soon as possible. As always, welcome members of our community here tonight to observe the important work being done on behalf of all school district stakeholders. This is our first meeting with Dr. Anderson. He has hit the ground running since July 1st. The board is thankful to all the district staff who have helped and continue to help onboard our new superintendent. We have a number of new administrators in the district as well who are also experiencing a warm and thoughtful welcome. Dr. Anderson's past experiences and his ability to connect with others, as well as his personal experiences in the district, help the board make their decision over the spring this past academic year. Dr. Anderson, we have some items in the table file. Will you update us?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair and board members. There are items in the table file. And give me one moment, please, to bring those forward. Thank you, Madam Chair. In the table file, there are items for the consent agenda. First, personnel items. There's appointments, and there are increase and decrease and changes in assignments that board members can review. Similarly, or in addition, there are retirements, resignations, and terminations. And then items for more information, which includes that our July 27th training session is canceled as the board training session scheduled for that date has been moved, and we will consider adding a training session at a date to be determined in the fall.
All right, thank you very much. If there are no objections, we will add these items to the agenda as we move forward. Okay, board members, please make sure your mic is on so Kelly can record your voice and your votes. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
Motion.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Amy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. We do not have anyone signed up for public comment. That is item 3, so we will move to item 4. Okay, Dr. Anderson, do you have any announcements or recognitions at this time?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair and board members. I do at this time. I just want to offer a few reflections and announcements and recognitions during this agenda item. First, as I've stepped into the role of superintendent, I've been incredibly grateful, really, for the warm welcome I've received from Northfield Public Schools. That includes board members, staff, and community members. So I'd love to offer gratitude for the kindness, the encouragement, and the willingness to help me learn as I've felt from so many of you, including from the chair for the moment of finding the table file to present to you this evening. So thank you for that. That's perfectly illustrative of the goodwill that I've experienced. One of the best things that I've seen and has stood out to me most is watching the way so many of our returning staff, some who are here in the audience tonight, have intentionally welcomed and supported new leaders in joining our system. That spirit of generosity and partnership says a great deal about who we are as an organization, and it's something that I deeply appreciate. I'd also recognize some of these new leaders, really all of them that have joined our system. They sought Northfield as a destination district. They're eager to deploy their talent, skills, experiences in service of us and our kids and our community. I've already witnessed them collaborating, offering insight, confirming really our sense of what they would contribute, and as they're doing so right away. Special thanks to this district office team. They've been very welcoming and accommodating of the things I've asked of them. For example, one thing I asked at a recent meeting was for them to share something that others might not know about them. This led to lots of new insights, it seemed to me, across our district team. And they had the enviable task of introducing someone else and then sharing that unique item or items about those other folks. As we think about a possible theme this year of connection, it was alive in the room. And so special thanks to that district team. I'd love to offer a special shout out to Dr. Matt Hillman, Superintendent Emeritus. I'd like to offer a few words related to what I've experienced from Dr. Hillman. First, gracious, insightful, wise, knowledgeable, generous, and thoughtful. It's clear to me, and has been for some time, why he has such deep respect and trust from this community. How special it is to have had his leadership for so long, and it is my humble task to try to carry on this tradition. Special shout out to Kelly Spillman Kramer, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent and School Board, for her patience, responsiveness, detail orientation, and overall excellent support she provides in her role. I know you know this, but we are profoundly fortunate to have her serving. Thanks to the board members. Our introductory board member meetings have been equally as insightful as they have been profound. Your care for this community is clear. Your dedication and commitment are robust, both professionally and personally. And Northfield is fortunate to have you serving truly. Thanks to Chair Gonzalez-George. She sponsored extra meetings, clear communication, offered grace, understanding. Thanks for your welcoming leadership. Congratulations to Northfield High School trap team, who competed recently in the Class 9A Minnesota State High School League Clay Target State Tournament on June 26th in Prior Lake. The Raiders earned this opportunity by taking not second, not third, but first place at the Trap Shooting Championship competition on Tuesday, June 23rd in Alexandria. Also, congratulations to the Northfield High School skeet team, who took home their fourth consecutive Class 2A championship trophy on June the 10th. In their individual tournaments, Danica Bolfer took third in the high gun varsity female category, and Braden Dupay took third in the high gun varsity male category. Kudos and congratulations to those teams and those students for their achievements. That concludes our recognitions.
Very good. Board members, do you have any announcements or recognitions at this time? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. All right, we'll move on to item 5, which is our items for discussion and reports. Today we have one item, and that is the annual safety drill report, and Superintendent Anderson will present the district's safety drill report as required by Minnesota Statute 121A.037. And we also have Director of Buildings and Grounds, Justin Robley, available to answer any of your questions, board members. Dr. Anderson.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. It's wonderful to check in with you on our annual district safety update. I checked in most recently with Justin about our safety practices, and I'm proud to report that based on my experience in now 6 districts, Northfield's doing a great job of both aligning with state requirements and also preparing and situating staff so that they can execute should negative things occur. And so you have in your board packet a document that outlines the safety drills that are practiced annually, talks about the importance of those things, how we practice those drills, what tools we use, and what actions do we take to prevent violence, which is a really large part of preparedness. But I would actually like to invite Justin up to share a little bit about how we've facilitated this in the last year and a half, current status, and some of the things to note for our community.
Hi, good afternoon. Yep, I'm Justin Rodley, Director of Buildings and Grounds. In the 3 years that I've been the Director of Buildings and Grounds, I've been able to go to multiple training events and training opportunities provided to school districts from the Department of Homeland Security. That's really brought into light how important everything being as clear and concise as possible, and and they've promoted the I Love You Guys training, which is what the district has moved 100% to in the last year, including district-wide all staff trained during workshop week last year, just to bring the best practices and put everything at the forefront as far as aligning and whether it's Rice County Emergency Management or Dakota County Emergency Management, just clear language, clear process, and just doing the best we can do. And they base there's 78,000 school districts that have also adopted, besides Northfield, as most of the districts surrounding us are either in the process or have adopted them also. Just like I say, for best practice, clear communication in a situation. So, yeah, and if anyone has any questions, I'm here.
Thank you, Justin. Board members, do you have any questions on this item at this time? Okay, Amy.
So thank you, Justin. I have a couple of questions for you. If we have a situation where there's a whole drill where for medical purposes that we weren't expecting, does that count for one of our drills and then we do one less practice? Does that make sense?
An actual event, usually they're scheduled, so there has been a few times where, like an accidental, there was an incident where we had a fire alarm that went off accidentally at the middle school, and they were able to incorporate that in a drill. So while they can, the best practice is that we still go through the process. So typically at the beginning of the school year, the administrators of the buildings do schedule all their drills through the year, just for planning purposes. So sometimes if there is an actual event, they can check the box, yes.
So all the schools have the same requirements for the same number of drills of each type, correct?
They do.
And then my second question is, how many parents actually opt out their students from any of the drills, and how does that work?
I do not know the exact number because I think it fluctuates, where the parents that would typically opt out would be for the actual lockdown drill itself, and parents are notified through all the means of communication that the school district has to communicate with them. If they are able to opt out, and if they do, we recognize and give them that option. But I do not have the number. I know it is not a high number.
And did they usually just not send their kids to school that day, or?
Either that or they pick them up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because usually they try and schedule the drills either earlier in the morning or afternoon, if just to facilitate that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Amy. All right, Maggie and then Corey.
Hi. You mentioned the training, the I Love You Guys training that happened during the Welcome Week. Will something like that happen again this August, or is there a training, something that happens just for new staff as they come in?
Yeah, there is not training that's scheduled. That is, it's a keynote speaker and somebody that's coming from somewhere other than Minnesota usually. So on the foresight, Dr. Anderson and I will have communications on what continually training staff looks like. So yeah, it's not on the plans for this year.
Question for you, Justin, in just a second, but to Amy's question, since I do get email communication from elementary school, it usually is pretty early in the morning, like 9 o'clock, so you can opt out to have your child there and then drop them off afterward. Easier than sending them than picking them up and bringing them back. So I know that we're talking about drills right now, but I had a question concerning an actual event. If there's an evacuation, are we still partnering with St. Olaf as an offsite gathering spot? Is that kind of an agreement in place long-term, or does that have to be something we renew?
No, it's a very robust MOU. St. Olaf was gracious, and to say they rolled the red carpet out, given the circumstance once it was presented to them, what we would use their facilities for, which going through multiple trainings and actually working with Rice County and Dakota County Emergency Management, Northfield is in a way better position than any surrounding district because of St. Olaf's gracious. For them allowing us to use their facility if need be.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Excellent. Right, Ben.
Thanks, Justin. I wanted to just chat about kind of the Reimagine project. Obviously, when we approach the community, one of the things we talked about was safety and making that building as part of its new design safer. So, but at a high level, without going into too much detail, can you talk about kind of how that's factored into that design process?
Yeah, it weighed heavily in compartmentalizing the building. So if you can think about if a lockdown or, if one of our secure buttons is pulled, whether it's district-wide or at the building itself, everything will be compartmentalized. People will be able to evacuate if they have to, but there will be no reentry into any of the academic wings. Like for instance, the open floor plan that the high school is now, with all the exits. Everything would be you would be able to flow into a back corridor stairwell. But otherwise, if you can think about, if you've seen any of the renditions or what the drawings are, everything will be, I think there's 8 different buildings, and in those 8 buildings, you will not be able to go from one to the other. You will be able to leave any one of those 8 buildings, but you will not be able to go from building to building. Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Justin.
Yeah. Have a great night.
Did you have some comments on that as well, Dr. Anderson, or?
None at this time.
Okay, great. Then we are on to item 6, which is our consent agenda. As a reminder, there were some personnel items in the table file added to that consent grouping. Is there anything anyone would like to pull from the consent grouping for separate consideration? Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent grouping?
Motion.
Thank you, Jenny.
Second.
Thank you, Maggie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Very good. Item 7 is our items for individual action. We have 3 items tonight for action, and another action item is a resolution, so we'll do a roll call vote for that one. First, we have the transportation contract. The contract was presented at the June 24th, 2026 special board meeting. I'll take a motion first, and then we can discuss. Is there a motion to approve the 2-year transportation contract with Benjamin Bus, Inc. for 2026-28 with an option to extend the contract 2 more years through 2029-30 school year?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Corey. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Amy. All right, Dr. Anderson or Val, do you have any comments on this item at this time?
I don't have, it's already on. Maybe not. There we go. I don't have any comments, just my apologies for missing the last meeting where this was presented. But again, same things that were presented. And obviously grateful to continue our partnership with Benjamin Bus, but I'm happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
Board members, do you have any questions or comments on this action item? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, motion carries. Next, we have participation agreement between Northfield Public Schools and St. Dominic's Catholic School. The agreement allows 7th and 8th grade students enrolled at St. Dominic's to participate in select Northfield School District programs that are not offered at St. Dominic's in accordance with Minnesota State High School League Bylaw 105. 7th and 8th grade students at St. Dominic's have the opportunity to participate in NHS activity programs because St. Dominic's is a non-continuation school that does not offer education beyond 8th grade. This agreement will be reviewed every 2 years. I'll take a motion and then we can discuss.
Motion.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Maggie. Board members, do you have any questions or comments about this agreement? Okay, Amy.
I was surprised that there was only 5 sports listed. And I was wondering, are there other sports that could or should be included? Or, is this all that St. Dominic's asked for? And it's all that their students are interested in? Just curious how we came up with this list.
Thank you, Director Gorwitz. At this time, I would like to invite Student Activities Director John Mahal to come up to offer context and insight around board member questions.
Well, welcome.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the question. For this agreement, as a question came in a couple weeks, or probably about 3 weeks ago now, in terms of, hey, can 7th or 8th graders participate from St. Dom's in any of our activities? And as I look through the documentation that was in the office, and there's a lot of it from over the years, I couldn't quite find any of that previous documentation, so I wanted to make this a more of a formal piece to what we offer, just because, again, the State High School League wants that to happen. That way, if anyone were to ask, here, this is what we have. So what we have in our handbook, there's Tier 1 and Tier 2 sports. Tier 1 are your football, your basketballs, sports that typically have associations that feed the programs. And the programs that are listed here for St. Dominic's are the ones that typically have been asked for, maybe in the past from them. And they are more of our 7 through 12 or Category 2 programs. So that's why those are what is listed. If, say, somebody from St. Dominic's wants to play basketball, they offer that there through 8th grade. So that's where they would play that. Soccer, same kind of a thing. So that's the difference as to why it's a limited number, but there's still opportunities for them.
Does that answer your question, Amy?
I'm just going to try to repeat it back to make sure I understand. So if they've already offered it, St. Dominic's, we don't duplicate. If they can get it in a community sports league, we do not duplicate.
Correct. In
And
an
it's only if,
association. Yep.
yeah, okay, and it's only if we're the only option as a place for them to come. I think it's great that we're
So say
offering
like
this.
Alpine Ski, like there isn't an association, it's a 7 through 12 program. They don't offer it, association doesn't run it here, so they would be able to be a part of our programming.
And then I assume they pay the same fees and go through all the same process.
Correct, they
as
would
our
have to still
students.
be registered like any of our high school students or middle school students that participate, yes.
Thank you.
What else? Jeff?
Yeah, not sure what 105 is, Minnesota State High School League, but my other question would be, if we're doing this now, why haven't we done it in many years past? Maybe we have, I don't know.
That's a great question. That's why, like I said, when I was looking for the previous documentation, it may be in some of the files somewhere. They're just it goes back quite a while, and there's nothing specifically listed for it. And so that's why I'm like, well, instead of trying to find a needle in a haystack, let's just come back to this, make sure that, because best practices as well from the State High School League is any of our co-ops that we have with our partners that we work with as well, we have to review it every 2 years. And since I've been in this role for 3 years, we haven't reviewed any agreement with St. Dom's. So this helps just reestablish that.
Very good.
Anyone else? One more, Amy?
Do we have any sense of how many St. Dominic students actually participate?
When I was asking our administrative assistant, Cheryl, we're less than 5. I mean, it's very minimal, or it has been in our time, and we struggled to actually find that number, again, since I've been in this role. So it's been very minimal.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. Any more questions or comments?
Madam Chair, if I may. I did hear from St. Dom's principal, Sean Dudley, today, who did confirm that while our documentation here this evening does have the word Catholic in the title, the official name of the school is St. Dominic's School. However, given that oversight, she doesn't see any reason why the agreement won't be honored and doesn't have an issue with it. One thing she wants the board to appreciate, though, tonight is that she and St. Dominic really appreciate our collaborative arrangement for those kids who access. This is a pathway that's important for those kids to have access, and so she just wanted me to express very clearly her appreciation for our collaborative agreement.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Yep. Thank
Okay,
you.
we have a motion and a second, so we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Item C is our 2026-27 Student Citizenship Handbook. The handbook was presented at the June 8th, 2026 regular board meeting, and I will take a motion first, and then we can discuss. Is there a motion to approve the changes as presented to the 26-27 Student Citizenship Handbook?
Motion?
Thank you, Maggie. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ben. Right, Dr. Anderson, do you have any comments on this item?
Not too many, Madam Chair, other than I also had a chance to give this a review, and it seems standard in terms of content. Many similarities to the handbook I've used as a building principal in Edina, for example. Most of the updates are minimal, as you already know. Links, names, the more substantial changes happened last year, I understand. And so Really just updating with some names and some updated links is what I'd offer.
Very good. Board members, do you have any questions or comments on this action item? None? Okay, then we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And finally, we have a resolution tonight, and that is the designation of identified official with authority, or Iowa, for the Minnesota Department of Education External User Access Recertification System. I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution, open for discussion, and then Kelly will facilitate that roll call vote. May be resolved by the Board of Education of Independent School District 659 as follows. The Minnesota Department of Education requires that school districts annually designate an identified official with authority to comply with the Minnesota IT Enterprise Identity and Access Management Standard, which states that all user access rights to the Minnesota state systems must be reviewed and recertified at least annually. The identified official with authority will assign job duties and authorize external users access to Minnesota Department of Education secure systems for their local education agency, or the LEA. The board authorizes Dr. Tim Anderson to act as the identified official with authority, or the Iowa, and Kristen Nessett to act as the Iowa, to add and remove names only for Northfield Public Schools 65901. Dr. Anderson, do you have any comments on this item?
No, just a standard update of names based on authority and responsibility in the system.
Okay, so I'll take a motion on that resolution, and then if board members have any comments or questions, we can do that next. So is there a motion to approve the resolution to authorize Dr. Tim Anderson to act as the Iowa and Kristen Nessett to act as the Iowa, to add and remove names only for the Northfield Public School District 65901?
I'll move.
Thank you, Corey. Get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jenny. Board members, do you have any questions on this item or comments? Okay, Amy?
I don't see Kristen Nessett's name on this. Am I missing it?
On,
On the resolution that was sent to us, I see Tim Anderson, but I don't see a second name.
in the memorandum, or where are you looking?
I'm looking
Oh,
on,
on the actual resolution, okay. Yeah, I just went off the memorandum, so Kelly?
So my understanding is that we designate Dr. Anderson as the Iowa, and then he is able to designate Chris as the person that can add and remove names. So then, as the board, you only have to really designate Dr. Anderson, but we include Chris in the memorandum anyways, just so that it's clear to you what Dr. Anderson intends to do as far as designation.
thank you.
Thank you for catching that, Amy, and thank you, Kelly. Any other comments at this time or questions? None. All right, then we will move to a roll call vote. Thank you for helping with that.
Butler,
Aye.
Epstein,
Aye.
Garowitz,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Quinnell,
Aye.
Gonzalez, George.
Aye. The resolution passes. Next, we have items for information. And first up, we have a construction update, that is number 28. Superintendent Anderson, would you like to provide an update or let the report stand as it is?
Madam Chair, I'd like to offer some extra statements to accompany the report as it lists in your packet. Board members, as you know, in June on the 16th, you, on behalf of the district, opened bids for the Reimagine project. And as I think you've had reported to you, the results were encouraging. This project expects to be on schedule and on budget, and that has been the case, and that remains the case per our meeting today with both Knutson and Wold. A few items to highlight. First, Kelly Spillman Kramer has been doing a wonderful job posting updates to the district website for our reimagined high school with new construction renovations. The website has and will produce these weekly updates. Some of those updates for the week of July 6th through the 10th included, and if you've gone by, you've seen some of these things happening. Parking lot pavements continuing being stripped and hauled off a site. Excavations continued for underground storm structures and the new south parking lot. Water main utilities excavation and piping installation has begun, and the drilling of the first geothermal well has continued, as it will for the next 3 to 4 months with those drills on site. And this week, starting today, we anticipate these things occurring. Of course, continuing excavation for underground utilities such as stormwater, sewer, and water main. Continued geothermal well drilling. Placing utility structures and piping underground, and removal of 4 light poles around the tennis court area. I would one more time reiterate that we are on time and within budget as of 3 p.m. this afternoon's check-in with both Wold and Knutson. I'd also love to use this as a time to reflect on how impressed I am based on my experiences in construction. I've worked with Wold in the past on construction projects, and in fact, was introduced to Sal Bagley again for the second time for the second project that I've had a chance to work with her. And her team and Sal are doing very well. Josh Cooper from Knutson and his team have run the project as well to date, and I'm impressed with what I see. Justin, who you heard from this evening, and Val, who you've heard from this evening, are our district staff who've been key leaders on this project, as you know this. But with fresh eyes, I'd like to just reiterate that we are in good hands, and these are strong stewards, have been, and will continue to be as we move this important project forward. Also pleased to be able to see that that bid day went well. I'd like to just offer my personal, and on behalf of the district's, kudos and thanks to the community for their support, to the user groups for working with these updated plans, and I'd just like to offer my extreme excitement for the support of this community. We don't take that lightly. The community has placed their trust in us, and we're in a better position to deliver on our goal to do good things for kids because of this community's support. It's not a small thing to get this kind of support from a community. Northfield enjoys it. We're fortunate to be in the position that we're in, and kids will benefit as a result. With that, well, those are my comments with the construction update.
Thank you so much. Our board members, do you have any questions on this item? And we'll move on to item B, which is the end of the year enrollment report. And this will be a review of June 22nd, end of the year. Superintendent Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In your board packet, you do have the final enrollment report of the year. As you know, each month you get an enrollment report, and near the end of your packet, you can see that month-by-month report by grade level, by school, including Big 9 online, the middle school, the high school, and all the elementaries, along with the ALC. The projections from the start of the year are listed, and the difference between projections and actuals, like most districts I've served in, fluctuates throughout the year. There's many factors that can impact what, sorry, I meant to be projecting this, sorry folks. There it is. Many factors influence that fluctuation throughout the year. This year had a number of variables that we don't typically see, but you can see the final number at the end of the year close to projections, but under by 22. And so we pay attention to those numbers. Clearly, that's illustrated by the monthly report that we share with you all. And like I say, we finished the year 22 under projection, very close to projection, but under. And I'd also invite Val to share any extra pieces of context related to this enrollment report.
Thank you. I was just going to add that even though we are 22 under projection, that only encompasses our K-12 programming. So last year, I went back and looked, we were 38 under projection, but when we consider early childhood extended time, we actually were above the total enrollment projected. And so I don't have concerns about being 22 under. 22 out of 3,600 is still pretty good anyway, but with all the other kind of ancillary enrollment pieces, I anticipate the budget will be just fine for what we were expecting.
Board members, do you have any questions on this item or comments? This time. Okay, thank you, Val. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Item C this is our items for information. Dates for filing affidavits of candidacy. The dates for filing for school board are July 14 through the 28th, 2026 in the district office. An affidavit of candidacy must be filed in the office of the school district clerk. Must be filed in the office of the school district clerk, and the $2 filing fee paid prior to 5 p.m. on Tuesday, July 28th, 2026. The next school board election will be held on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026. Item D, we did add that from the table file, and that's just that our July 27th work session is canceled. And then we're on to our future meetings, and those are Monday, August 10th, 6 p.m., regular meeting here in this boardroom. Monday, August 24th, 6 p.m., another regular board meeting. Monday, September 14th, 6 p.m., another regular board meeting, all of those in this boardroom. That is all the business that we have tonight. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jenny. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we are adjourned.